Hi guys, Jill here. Today I wanted to show you a card I did using the Art Impressions watercolor stamps. I used quite a large combination of the stamps. I actually even included one of the trifold images. These are the furries, and as you can see there I used the mice. So here are the stamps that I used, and I will have a full supply list at the end, but here I'm showing you the ones I used from each set. And actually, let's see here, right here, I do not use this one from the Cottage by the Beach. I was going to add this in, but I decided against it. And these, the flower sets, I had these before they were actually put into sets. I used to buy these when they were individual stamps. So I just ran off copies of what the stamps look like and put them onto plastic. So that's why mine looks so weird. Okay, so first I'm starting with a scrap of my Strathmore watercolor paper, and this is cut into almost a circle, and I'm showing you some of the supplies I'm using, which is the Tombow markers as well as the number 4 paintbrush that Art Impressions uses, and then a Stamp-A-Majig. I'm also using a Marvy Le Plume 2 sepia marker. And so on the Stamp-A-Majig, you just stamp into the corner onto your carrier sheet. You place it where you want on your piece of paper in this case. You butt up the corner where you want it, and then you stamp into that corner. Only I didn't do that. I totally twisted the stamp around, as you'll see, and I just stamped it. Well, okay, so we can adjust. I'm not even sure I needed the Stamp-A-Majig, but it all worked out in the end, I will tell you that, or I wouldn't be showing you this video. Anyway, so I wet the brush, pinched off some of the water, and I started to pull the color out from the lines. Now, when you're doing this technique, don't use too much water and don't cross the lines. And what I mean by that is pull next to the lines, but don't pull your brush across the line, or you're just going to blur that line. If you should do that, you can always use the fine tip of your marker to color that line back in after everything's dried. Now, I'm not using a lot of water. It sure looks like it in this video. For some reason, my camera's picking up a whole ton of water. It wasn't that much water, but it looks like it in the video. So I'm just gently pulling the water out from those lines wherever I want them to be darkened and look watercolored. And then I'm going to come in with this other color, and I'm listing it here. And instead of actually coloring onto the paper, I'm using a palette. Normally I use my Art Impressions watercolor palette, which I absolutely love, but I just happen to have the carrier sheet right there from my Stamp-A-Majig, so I just grabbed that. And so I am now adding some color to my little mice. Now, the thing that Bonnie from Art Impressions says is don't add color to the faces of your animals as well as their stomachs. Well, I wasn't listening so well with the stomach part today, but with the faces, I really listened. I actually think I probably should have added a little more color to the one face, but I didn't, and it's done. But you do see the point where it just adds so much more life to them to highlight their faces, and I love that tip. And on their channel, she does Watercolor Wednesdays, and I learned so much from that. And I cannot wait to get my hands on the animals that they have. They have birds, cats, and bunnies. Okay, so now I'm coming in with that pink color, I think. I believe I just did. And added it to the ears, the cheeks, the nose of those little mice. And then I had darkened up some other spots with that sepia. Now I'm going to come in with the grass and stamp that. Now when you're doing the grass, you're going to kind of walk that across the paper. And what they say is use it about 5 times or more. It didn't pick up a lot. This piece of Strathmore's really textured, so I went a little slower this time. Obviously you can't see it as much because it's sped up, but that's what I did. And then you're going to pull that color up with your brush. Again, the water, there's not that much water on here. I pinched the water off of my brush. So I'm going to come in now with that vine, and this one I'm just going to kind of walk up my paper and not add a lot of movement, but just go upward with it. And this is going to create almost a little place for my little mice to sit. And now I'm just going to dab onto those. This is going to brighten the color that I put down of the green, and this is a different green as you'll see on the screen, and it's going to brighten that color up, and you don't have to touch every part. You can touch that with the water or you don't have to. It's just completely up to you. Now we're going to come in with the bleeding heart, or I think actually no I don't. I come in with the little tiny flowers first. These I only ink up a few, and then I just dab those about 5 times in a circle, and then I touch them with water. They don't show up really well here on the video, but believe me, they're on there. This is the tall one, and these I put the blue on the blue marker on the tops of them and the green on the vine. And this one I'm going to stamp a few times. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Now I'm doing the bleeding heart with the green on the vine and then the pink on the bleeding hearts themselves. I'm going to stamp it once. I want a good inking with this. And the only part I'm going to touch with the water is the actual flowers. And I'm just going to dab those lightly. Don't touch the vine because you're just going to dab that and probably just spread it. Okay, so now I'm coming in with the blue flowers. And then the blue flowers I just inked up the blue flowers and then the stems with the green, and I'm just going to stamp those, looks like 3 times. And I'm coming back in, again repetitive, just adding a little bit of water to each of those flowers. I'm not touching those stems. So now I'm going to come in and add a little bit more blue with the water, and you'll see I'm not happy with how blue they are. I'm also going to add some more blue where the flowers weren't to fill in the flowers and make it look like there's more of them. And that's kind of a fun technique to kind of make flowers where they aren't. So see, you can fill them in, you can dab more. You can be really loose with this technique. I'm kind of adding some to that area where it was lighter with those pink flowers. And then I was trying to add some darkness to the centers of the flowers. Later I come back in when everything is dry, and I actually just touch the nib of the pen there after I've created some more flowers. So I actually just touched the nib of the pen and create a darker center. But, you know, it's up to you how loose you want these colors to be or how bright. And so I'm going to come back in and try to darken up those little puffs of flowers. And you do that by just walking that stamp around. And so see, I just came in with a brighter pink this time. So I'll add a little bit more water again. And that's where I'm coming in and adding the centers to those flowers. And that is the ones that I stamped as well as the ones that I created. Okay, so next I'm actually going to darken up the eyes of those mice. And then I'm going to assemble the card. I'm not going to bore you with the assembly, but I will have all the descriptions on my blog. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for stopping by and have a great day.